Though again, this is a document by Douglas Logan, still online today. It's billed as the facts and details of election fraud in the 2020 election. Among those facts and details detailed in the document, Douglas Logan produces this evidence: that the Chinese have been plotting this since 1963. Since Joe Biden was in college. Chinese goals in 1963 to take over America without firing a shot. This is part of his election fraud facts and details. His evidence for the Chinese plotting this in 1963 is something from the John Birch Society that was posted on something called the website. Which you yourself can now purchase for the low cost of $74,999 if you want. But it's all here. The facts and details of the fraud at .com. About how they planned their attack on the 2020 election back in 1963. Yeah, how are you going to refute that, you commies? Have you checked .com? Maybe it's now owned by Hugo Chavez. In this document, again, which you can still get online, Mr. Logan continues at length with this conspiracy theory about Dominion voting systems and communism and Venezuela and blah, blah, blah. It's the exact conspiracy theory that led to the billion-dollar defamation lawsuits against Trump lawyers Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and lots of other people and entities. He even goes on to name this specific employee of Dominion voting systems as the real villain, saying this guy was overheard telling his Antifa buddies that he would rig the election against Trump. And needless to say, that is a completely made-up claim. I mean, ask Newsmax. That's one of the fantasies that they repeated on air until a lawsuit forced them to try to prove it, and then they had to admit it was false and wrong, and they retracted it, and now they're very sorry. It's all just nonsense. The Venezuela thing is nonsense. The connection of the two voting companies is nonsense. The Hugo Chavez thing is nonsense. The guy from Dominion, scurrilously conniving with Antifa to tweak the election in a way that would take care of Trump's hopes. Like, all of this stuff, this is the stuff that they have been pushing since the election. It's all nonsense. If you don't believe that it's nonsense, ask yourself why people who are being sued for defamation for making those claims are retracting them and apologizing for them and admitting that they are false. But former President Trump's contention that he lost the election is based on this exact craziness. It's based on this exact nonsense. And so far, it really has led to multiple billion-dollar lawsuits against the most prominent purveyors of these fantasies. But this guy, Douglas Logan, who is still, to this day, promoting this exact junk. At least in his case, he's not retracting anything. He says he absolutely stands by it. In an interview with the Arizona Mirror, quote, Logan stood behind all of the assertions in the document, some of which have been debunked or disproven, and others that have little or no supporting evidence. Logan telling the Arizona Mirror, quote, some of it's based on my own research, but quite a bit is information I got from other people, but then personally vetted. He personally vetted all of this information about how the Chinese planned it in 1963, and then there was the Antifa guy, and then dead Hugo Chavez, and the two companies are really one company, and they're from Venezuela, and it's all been... He stands by it. He's personally vetted it all. As far as we know, Douglas Logan has not been hit with one of these billion-dollar defamation lawsuits, like Rudy Giuliani has, and Newsmax has, and Sidney Powell, and some of the other people who have peddled this same stuff. But Mr. Logan, at least, is gainfully employed right now. He is, in fact, very busy. And the reason the Arizona Mirror, reporter Jeremy Duda at the Arizona Mirror even thought to ask Mr. Logan if he still today stands by all that crazy stuff and still maintains it true, is because today what Douglas Logan is doing is that he is the man who is running the recount and audit of the presidential election race in Arizona. He's in charge of it. That's who Arizona Republicans hired to run the audit, the recount of the presidential election in Arizona. And surprise, under his leadership, it turns out to be completely nuts.
The other day at the press conference, you were talking about bamboo. What was that about?
Well, is that there's accusations that 40,000 ballots were flown in
To Arizona?
Into Arizona, and it was stuffed into the box, okay? And it came from the southeast part of the world, Asia, okay? And what they're doing is to find out if there's bamboo in the paper. That camera right there, that they take a picture of the ballot.
They're trying to find out if there's bamboo in the paper. Yeah, when you put the Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, Trump election fraud fantasy, QAnon conspiracy theory people in charge of recounting the presidential election results in a real American state, I mean, this is what you get. This is what the headlines look like out of the local press today in Arizona. So now it's bamboo in the ballots? Are there any limits to the audit lunacy? Department of Justice asks Arizona to respond to concerns about election audit. Arizona audit ignores federal law on election records. Recruitment of ballot counters raises concerns. Arizona election auditors include those who touted voting fraud. That last one is where we learned today, thanks to the Arizona Republic, that one of the people working in some capacity on the Arizona audit, alongside Douglas Logan, the communists did it conspiracy theory guy, one of the other people working on the audit in a capacity that must be kept secret because of a non-disclosure agreement, is an Arizona woman who has taken it upon herself to prove the election fraud fantasy that Donald Trump is still really the president by personally collecting allegations of fraud via a website that she set up in Arizona after the election. Her website is itsmellsfunny.com. It Smells Funny. So the proprietor of itsmellsfunny.com and the communists plotted this all out in 1963 guy, they, in our country, somehow got control of the actual physical ballots cast in an actual federal election. And they're doing Lord knows what with them now. Smells funny. The New York Times is reporting that President Trump has now told multiple people that this is what he believes is going to put him back in the White House. Not in 2024, now. He believes the Arizona audit, quote, could undo the election. And he has told multiple people that. And that, of course, is nuts. But if he believes that, of course, he will promote that idea to his followers, and something that seems completely nuts at the outset will become an article of faith among those who follow him. And he will tell them to believe it, and he will expect them to believe it and to promote it.